It'd just be constantly going.
Yeah.
And we're live.
All right.
All right, let's let's get started. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Carson's Conversations. Today is episode 9, and I got a great guy here today. He's one of my brother's friends. I've known him for a long time just because my brother and you were friends. But yeah, everybody, welcome Nick. He's a great guy, very interesting. He's doing a lot of stuff at school that I can't comprehend it because it's just way out of my mind. But yeah, introduce yourself.
It's nice to be here, Carson. Thanks for having me, and it's great to be able to talk to all the fans. Excited for today's conversation.
Yeah.
What do you want to start with?
So let's just start with school now, because you're in university. You're at UFT.
Yep.
Yeah. So how's that going, Nick?
So I just finished second year of engineering at U of T. The rumors are correct. It's hard. It's really hard. You gotta be in love with pain if you want to go through it. But I gotta say, passion kind of helps with that, and that's the only reason I'm still there. I've just been getting beat down to the ground. But I feel like I've found where I want to be. I have my big game plan. I've been getting involved in different clubs. There was this event at McMaster earlier this year. It's called the Designathon, which is like a design competition. And I went with a bunch of my buddies from school, and we ended up winning it. And it was such a crazy experience that we actually are now organizing the U of T version for it.
Oh, really?
And so we're going to be doing that in January. It's basically, you get a bunch of sponsors from industry. Examples are like Canadian Space Agency, Uber.
So what did you have to do to win that? That's pretty interesting.
So yeah, you get all these sponsors from the industry, and they're dealing with real life issues right now. And they basically give these design problems, and as a student, you come as a contestant, and you have to basically design the solution for it. And it's a 24-hour nonstop competition.
A lot of Red Bull kind of thing.
There was a lot of Red Bull. Yep, not a lot of sleep. And yeah, they got 3D printers, they got CAD, you do video renderings, and then after the 24 hours is done, you present it, and the winners, top students.
What was the main issue for the one at Mac, and what did you guys end up doing?
So we chose a design problem for an aerospace company. They're called L3 Westcam, just in Burlington, and they basically make defense and security cameras that go on jets, and they're crazy what they can do. They can basically see your license plates from 80 kilometers away.
Jeez, whoa! To
test it.
So what issues did they have though? Because that seems like a pretty well set up company.
They're pretty well off. The issue we had, the problem we were working with, is actually not really related to the cameras themselves, but a logistical error. So they're kind of mounted on the bottom of planes.
Yep.
And pilots will be pilots, or sometimes there's a bug, and sometimes you have to crash land. Okay. And these cameras are worth tens of millions of dollars. So what we are to try and do is design a way to protect them from crash land. And just got really lucky, had a really skilled set of team members, and we just got straight into it. Everyone knew what they were doing. I was designing the whole time on my iPad, just drawing prototypes. I'd hand it off to the guy with CAD. He'd be putting it up on a computer, send it off to the printer. Another guy would be like working with the prototypes themselves, wiring up Arduinos, motors. Yep. And yeah, we just kicked ass. And that's why we won.
Yeah, that's it. It's so crazy when you hear about stuff like that, because that just really shows how well technology has helped us build things. Yeah. Especially like just even your iPad. Because you use your iPad Pro with the pencil?
Yeah, the pencil, and it allows you to export things.
You can send them around.
Everything's wireless. It's some pretty crazy stuff. Another note on the fact that tech is crazy. It's also making our world much smaller than we think it is.
You think so?
I mean, all my family lives in Russia, and that's the other side of the planet. You just go on Skype and give them a call, and it's, you couldn't have done that 50.
Yeah, that's true. That was just in the movies kind of thing.
Yeah. And after winning it, we actually got invited to L3 Westcam to present in front of them. Yeah. And they loved it. They actually offered us all jobs. Yeah. So I got a co-op to work at an aerospace company.
Awesome.
Unreal. I'm going to be starting that next year. I decided to go back to school for a bit, but another example of just how small the world is. You just got to get out there and.
Yeah, it honestly works out for me. The podcast has just been kind of an example of that, is because I've just been putting stuff out, and I've had so many people reach out to me saying, "Hey, can I come on the podcast? I got some cool things." Like you, especially. I hadn't talked to you in 2 years since my brother went to university, so you were just like, "Hey, maybe I'll come on." It's like, and it's also just worked out because there's been a ton of people that I haven't talked to at all, and they're just like, "This is a great idea. Good job. Keep it up." And it's just like it's really cool to see that, and especially just getting out there and having conversations with other people, it really sets yourself off.
Exactly. No. We're the top species on the planet for a reason. We know how to communicate. And problem is we don't use that. Everyone's brilliant in one way or another, but it's useless unless you get out there and share it. So
it's true.
I'm glad you've been reaching out because everyone has something magic to say.
Yeah, it is. Talking, especially seeing different point of views with a whole bunch of different people. It really kind of opens your mind up to like, wow, that's not that bad. Or people are just being stubborn to this for no reason. Why not just, you do you. That's the way I look at things. Like, don't get mad at other people for doing other things.
Yeah.
But staying on the topic of like engineering and stuff like that, like that some advancements in technology are kind of crazy in like the concepts of things. Some of the, are there any like big concepts that you're looking at or you're interested in? Because I know there's a whole bunch of like, maybe like the, I can't, like,
where do I start?
Like Marvel or something like that. You know how they have those crazy like quantum theories and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like what are your thoughts on some of like the quantum relativity stuff and all that stuff?
Yeah, so it's actually funny that Captain Marvel just came out because on that topic we've had some pretty big scientific breakthroughs. Everyone knows about the black hole.
Yeah, it looks like a coffee smudge.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really difficult to do, and the fact that we're able to do that, we're now going to be able to start looking into the theory. There's a lot of science behind black holes that we just couldn't look at. Like half of Einstein's equations are just in the collecting dust until we've actually been able to start doing this. I think it was less than a month ago. We've captured the first photograph of a quantum entanglement, which is basically everyone knows electrons, photons are like a similar thing, and they captured two of them kind of in the same. It's difficult science to discuss, but again, it's just stuff that we were not capable of recording or capturing earlier, and we're starting to catch up. And as soon as you could do that, then the science just
then it's just kind of like it's just going to take off.
Yeah.
Even if you can look at that stuff even in the past in history, because it's the similar things where like electricity became a thing, and that just was like readily available. And then as soon as you saw that, you saw so many big factories and like the Industrial Revolution just kicked off, and that just happened. So imagine what it's going to be like when we can understand how a black hole works, or we can understand how quantum entanglement works, and all that stuff is just, I don't know what there's going to be that it'll be a use for. Maybe it'll just end up being a way to charge your phone faster, but you never know.
The limits are endless, it's actually difficult to understand how big of a role things like quantum physics play in our lives. We think that's like way too ahead of us, but something as simple as a laser is which has been around for a while. That's an easy example that uses that science. On that note, there's also a gentleman we all know, Mr. Musk, who's been making some.
Dude, I love that guy so much. And recently, I think people that are on my social media may have seen, I got to use one of the Boring Company flamethrowers. It just actually ended up happening because I was with people I wasn't normally going to be, I wasn't always hanging out with.
Right.
And one of the brothers that was there was just like, hey, I got a flamethrower. And I was like, tell me it's one of the Boring Company ones. And he's just like, yeah,
he got one?
Yeah, he bought one. He was just like 500 USD, 100% worth it. And he grabs it and brings it out. And I'm just like, this is the coolest thing I think I've ever done. And it shot like 4-foot flames. Not flames, but it's just unreal. It was so much fun. And he's doing so much crazy stuff with like SpaceX, the Boring Company with the tunnels and stuff like that. And Tesla too. Like Tesla's that's just updating your car from remote links. Like that stuff's insane.
Yep. Solar City, which is part of Tesla with batteries.
Powerball.
Out with gas, honestly, that's where he's going. And then there's the AI movement with Neuralink, and there's another one he had, OpenAI.
I didn't end up reading up on that. I should have watched the video for Neuralink, but like, because that's what he wants to attach. What is it? A couple millimeter chip into people's brain to connect them to the internet.
The way the way you could think of it is like a prosthetic leg, where if you have no leg, you can't walk, right? So you need to put on a prosthetic, and it actually allows you to do stuff. You can think of these devices in a similar way, where our brains are already supercomputers, but they're limited in certain ways. And Neuralink is working to basically help boost them. Think of it like Jarvis for Tony Stark, if you will. Tony tells this robot to do stuff, and it does it for him. And then with Neuralink, you have that connected to your head.
So is it like a connection to the internet? Because it'd be connected to, like, the way I'm thinking of it, because for Jarvis, I think it's connected to the internet, but it's also connected to all these other things.
Yeah.
So with that chip, would I be like able to connect to like a Google or something? Like, I honestly, because it's all such a concept, right?
It's still, that's the thing.
It's such a, not even in beta. Like, it's
the possibilities are endless. Yeah. You'd never have to study again, because you don't need memory. You just kind of think of something, and it'll come to you.
I'm getting that no matter what.
Yeah,
that would be insane. And there's also people that are like going to be worried about like the privacy and stuff like that. But that's
actually, I have debates with my girlfriend almost every week about this, because she's pretty worried about that. I'll say that with every big technological breakthrough, there's always new things that have to be considered. With the internet, hacking was like a huge anxiety of the people, and I mean it's still prevalent, but when AI kind of gets off the ground, policies will be made, and like as long as your goal is constructive, it can be.
Well, there's already kind of like legislation in some places where AI can't get completely set up on some things, which is nice to see that people are taking the things. And even Elon, he said that AI robots shouldn't move into like military positions or something like that. Just they don't want to make killer robots, which is kind of crazy that he's already thought about stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And he's so crazy. Like Tesla by itself, even though people are like, oh, it's going to go under, that's just because for me, I think that like some of the oil companies don't want to lose their ground. And you can see that with other big companies, and specifically like the German ones, like Mercedes making as many hybrid cars as they can. Volvo is making as many, they're not German, but Volvo's making as many, pretty much all their cars. They have Polestar, which is another fully electric company, which is making beautiful cars, but fully electric and super, super clean. And there's just so many other companies, like Rimac is making top of the line ones that have like 2,000 horsepower. The Grand Tour guys, the Top Gear guys, they did a test on it, and it was just like 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. Think about the G-forces on that, though, because you're getting slammed into a wall going that speed.
Yep, stuff's getting harder, better, faster, stronger.
As Kanye would put it.
As Kanye would say. There's something I want to say about that. About the oil companies. That's a really good point. That, really, most of the money's coming in from certain parties, certain individuals, and sometimes like developments such as the ones Elon's working on are against their agenda, and really that's why people think it's impossible. Yeah, people just don't want it to happen.
But it's working though. That's the thing. Like he's pushing. He's got so much other stuff against him, and even it's funny when like the stock tips down because he went on Joe Rogan. And did a little legal. It was legal, but he did something like that, and then and then there's the other things where he makes a tweet saying, "Oh, we're gonna take the stock live at private at 4. I think it was 4:20 as a complete joke," and people didn't get it. But it's Twitter, and people will go this, and they'll just take everything out of context, and that's another thing. Especially we were saying earlier with technology and society, where it's just like. People will use technology they're limiting themselves. There's no way that we're going to completely advance ourselves into the future with all this new technology when we're still at this, as you put earlier before we started, this sheep mentality of just, if some person gets this, I got to get the better version, right?
Exactly. There's this thing called Maslow's hierarchy, which is basically like a pyramid of all the needs of humans. And at the very bottom is very basic things like food, shelter. And when those are on your mind, you're really a hustler because you'll die if you don't. Yeah. But now that we've kind of reached this age in society and culture, we can get it delivered to our door with the press of a button. So kind of that hunger is fading away. And people are starting to waste their time with petty things.
Yeah, it's true.
But in reality, there's still so much groundwork, and that is a pretty big issue.
Do you have anything in mind that might fix this? Because these are big topics. I'm just curious if, because you're a smart mind, I don't know if you've thought about it even further on like what you think can happen, or is there any other thing in like, because we referred to the past earlier, is there anything in the past that might help us fix it out, or what do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. One thing that's been really big, that's really resonated with me in like fixing up my lifestyle is German philosopher Nietzsche, and he had this concept called the Übermensch, it's German for Superman, and he explains that everyone within them has their own Superman, and it's like hidden under layers of mud and garbage, but it's there, and you really just have to try, and you have to like set your goals for the future and know what you want to do and strive towards being the best version of yourself you could be, and that's when you can actually make waves. And that's where the sheep mentality is kind of working against that, because people just aren't realizing how powerful they are.
Yeah.
Like we said with you getting people on the show and talking about what they have to say, people don't think that they're valuable, when in fact that's so wrong.
That's happened a lot, actually. People have been like, oh, I'd love to come on, but I don't think anything I have to say is worth it. Or it's sometimes there's people that want to come on and they have nothing really good to talk about. Like there's nothing, like they don't have any experience in the field or something that I want to talk about, where it would all just be this, and they're not really passionate about it. They just kind of just want to come on, right? Which that happens because that's also part of the mentality of people wanting as much exposure as possible.
Exactly.
Which it dirties the water of just people having natural interactions, because social media is great and all that, and social media is helping me out with the podcast and all that, and if social media wasn't a thing, this wouldn't have been started. But it also makes so many different issues, because you can't have a clean conversation or clear conversation without having your phone on you.
It's really awful, yeah. And one thing I'd correct, all due respect, that you said is that people don't have anything interesting to say. I think the real thing is that they don't think they have it.
Yeah.
But again, it's you just got to dig deep.
Yeah.
Everything's within you. It's just a matter of how much you want it.
For sure.
There's this analogy that I thought of recently. There's like a vector, which is an arrow, basically in math, and a vector is made up of, it has a direction, and it also has a magnitude, a size. And there's a really good analogy for how people should conduct their life, because you need a direction, you need a goal, you need to know where you want to go, and then in order to actually make that happen, you have to put some sort of energy and effort into it, and that's the magnitude of it. Yeah. And if you have one and not the other, or vice versa, you're at zero. Yeah, so we really gotta hustle there. All the technology that we've been coming out with, it's really amazing, but unfortunately, we're not going to be able to use it to its greatest potential until society kind of catches up with it.
Yeah, my main thing to take out of that, because that's a good analogy if people understand calculus and all that stuff, because I don't know, but there's like, especially like finding it is what your passion is. Like finding your passion will help you do that, because the hard work will become zero. Like you won't need to put in as much effort as you would if you didn't enjoy it. So for you, I know you were definitely, I bet when you were working on that aerospace thing, it didn't feel like work. It was just, this is something that's so much fun, and I'm enjoying myself because this is something I want to do for the rest of my life, or something like that. Like for me, it doesn't feel like a task when I'm coming on to the podcast and I'm working here, but when I work at the supermarket I work at, it's just like, okay, I got to move this milk here. I got to do this. I got to put yogurt on the shelf. Like that's a job. Yeah. This is just, right now it's a pastime. This is just what I want to do on the side. But eventually, when it gets there, and it will, it's just going to be, oh, I'm doing this. This is awesome. I love it. Yeah.
There's a Steve Jobs quote that's really relevant to this. He said that your work is going to take up a large amount of your life. And it's important to love what you do. Because when you wake up every day and, you have that 9 to 5, but it's something you love, it's not work. And that's when you could actually create real results, real product, something that you could be proud of. So it just comes down to finding what you love. And too many people with the whole society trap, they're too busy with little things like the next iPhone or whatnot.
Yeah, that's
before they know it, it's too late, and they're 20 and they haven't really put in the work to get started on something. So they have to get a regular job, a 9 to 5, and then
a lot of them get stuck.
And then they just sit for 10 more years, and by then it's too late. You're stuck in that 9 to 5 that you went through,
and 9 to 5s aren't fun. People, you don't want to work at 9 to 5. Honestly, the best suggestion that I have for anybody is you need to work at a young age in a supermarket or something like that, because it'll show you that you really don't want to do this for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You'll want to get out as soon as possible. And that was another motivation for me to make this. I was just like, oh, please, somebody help me. I want to get out.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's something to help pay for this stuff right now. Which is, it's just like everybody needs to work in a scenario like that, or like wait tables or do anything, find another job, just because it'll show you that this is something you don't want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And
most people don't really want to have the stress of having to worry about other things, especially if you don't enjoy it, right?
Yeah. Pain is, we're all scared of pain, but it's actually a great motivator because it builds this type of hunger. And I guess another thing is that, because of this fear of pain, we just don't push the envelope. We stay in our comfort zone, and that's another big issue. But
it's nice because there are a lot of influencers, and that's the good thing about social media is you can find the good people that are on it that are really pushing, like you said, pushing the envelope to make everybody go further and further and further, and they challenge so many people. And for me, and many people know, Gary Vaynerchuk is a great guy for that.
I was about to say him, yeah.
Dude, I read his book, Crushing It. That stuff's so good. And that book's mainly about social media and how to find the proper ways to manipulate and make things better. Manipulate's a bad word, but how to manage it.
Yeah.
And he kind of just, the way he expresses what you should do, and it's like, you don't want to do it for the fame. If you do it just for the end result, it's pointless. Because you're gonna miss out on all the great moments that you have when you're building it.
Exactly.
Right, and you're gonna miss out on the good conversations. You're gonna miss out on the experiences. You're gonna miss out on the possibilities that you could have from just actually waiting, sitting down, and enjoying what you're doing, rather than going, okay, point A, I want to go first episode of the podcast, and now I'm an A-list celebrity. Like, no, you want the process, because that's the best part.
Yeah, people are too in love with the celebrity fantasy of having the cars and the big house,
which would be really nice.
It would be nice, but they don't realize that that's not all there is to it.
Yeah.
And they dream about this. They're children. They have all these crazy dreams. You want to be an astronaut. You want to be an athlete, and then you hit 10 years old, and then you realize it's a lot of work, and people just kind of shy away from it. And
there's some people, there's some kids, and I know a few, that are insane, like crazy when it comes to sports and stuff like that. But they get to that point where they're just like, what are the odds? Maybe, maybe not. And they don't. And then they find something else and they'll get into that. But it's just not as, it's good that they were like, oh, we'll check this off. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Which it's great, because that shows that there's a possibility in those types of people where in the future they'll be able to do stuff and figure out what they want. But at that early age, they were like, this could be something, and they quickly cut out, right?
Wake up, people.
Wake up.
The world is there.
Exactly. So the other thing that's crazy is, like, we were talking about it earlier, like some AI. Where do you think, what are the possibilities of that in modern day life, just to get rid of the sheep mentality and stuff like that?
Everywhere. Specifically with respect to that, it's tough to say, but it's, the possibilities are really endless. It depends on what you want to do with it. It is literally an artificial brain. So
that's true.
It could just be an enhancement of your own abilities. It could be your personal assistant that's actually in your head, the little voice, if you will.
I think they call that psychosis.
Well, the natural kind, yeah. The natural,
the other thing that'd be interesting with AI is like the modern day space race, because they had it in the 60s. And good old Armstrong, a couple of days ago, 50 years, right?
Yeah.
But the modern day space race, and you wanted, this is one of your topics that you wanted to talk about, which is cool, is, do you think the modern day space race is to truly go to Mars or to truly control the skies? And like Elon's doing as well, is trying to make the Skylink, which is setting up as many satellites to get internet and cover the entire world, which would be great because
that's insane.
I don't get a gigabyte up when I'm trying to play video games. It's terrible.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Starlink, what he's doing, that's some crazy stuff. I think he said it's rumored that it's supposed to be 5G, but I've been watching. I've been like looking up on it, and it's actually faster than
5G?
What's it called, the cable. Fiber optic cables.
Really?
So I think it's even above that. Yeah.
Because that it would be. Because how many satellites is he saying to put up?
It would be. It's definitely over 1,000. I forget how many.
Which is how many satellites can they put up in one rocket? Just one?
It would be in one rocket. I'm not too sure. I just know that it would be over the course of years that they actually.
Oh, for sure. I'm not thinking they're gonna launch like 1,000 rockets up because orbit would be weird. It's got to be timed too, like because you think about it when it's orbiting. And it's the other thing is the math to get a perfect orbit for all of them to perfectly link up is insane, and it's going to be have to be a complete like an ocean of it, right?
Yeah.
Because it'll have to be around the entire
web
world. Which, if you think about it, and I was at the source the other day, right? And this guy was trying to explain, like the house, like in your house, you know how there's some people that have just a router,
right.
Which I have, and then there's some people that also step their game up and they get the web, like the net stuff, where they have a router over here, a router over there, a router up there, all over the place. So when you move places, that it'll perfectly connect to you, and the router upstairs will connect to this one and that one and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the world. You're the Earth, and you need to have that many routers, well, satellites in this case, to go all the way around and cover the entire world. And it's got to be over 1,000, way more than 1,000, because
the number's either somewhere in the thousands or 2,000s or 5,000. That's the number I remember. 5,000. But it's on YouTube. Easy to find.
At least, hopefully, we're gonna get high-speed internet, which would be nice. And I don't know, does he want to charge? He doesn't seem like Elon's got so much money at this point where he's just like, I just like to make the world like he's Tony Stark.
His ideas are more philanthropic. Yeah, a big goal with Starlink is to actually be able to provide coverage to countries in Africa. I know it's $200 to be able to like use it, and like even over there, I guess that's still quite a lot, but comparatively, with what we have today, it's crazy.
Think about the people that invest in like the water and stuff like that. If they take a small portion of that, $200 for each area, because is it per person or is it?
I believe it's per person, but I'm not too sure. Yeah,
it's probably But if you think about it, they'll probably be able to net it, and if with Elon being the way Elon is, he'll be totally fine with just having this area is completely free or something like that. Yeah. And even for in northern Canada, like some of the territories and like up really far north, they have no internet. And Canada's doing that now, where they're trying to get as many like cables up there as possible, but it's so hard because the ground is so permafrosted and it's completely frozen, so they're completely disconnected. And that's another reason why things are so expensive up there, is because it's such a hard way to travel, especially for planes and like shipping like that, because there's only some times, and most of the time it's just completely darkness, right?
So yeah, I'd definitely say Elon, his main goal is just kind of help humanity raise the bar and like wipe a century off of our history so that we could just get to the next stage quicker. Everything. I do think that Mars is a huge goal of his. Yeah. Because it seems as if all his companies are playing like individual roles to kind of achieve overall being able to colonize Mars. The Boring Company to dig tunnels and make underground colonies. Solar City to make batteries like an actual feasible thing.
That's true.
And on. SpaceX, Tesla, and the AI movement.
He's so nuts. Like, he's crazy.
He is.
Some of the stuff he comes up with. It's he went to school here too, I think, in Canada.
So he went to Queen's. He started Queen's in business. I don't know which one, but then he ended up dropping it halfway through, and he went to Princeton, and he got a degree in econ and a degree in physics.
Hey, we had 2 years of his life. That's all that matters.
We're blessed.
We are blessed.
Yeah.
And do you got anything else to add on, or are we we're gonna close it up before the camera dies, because that seems to be an ongoing gag.
Yeah. What can I say? Area 51, guys.
Actually, no, that we need to talk about that.
Reach Area 51.
Yeah, it's September 20th.
When you
it's gonna go. It's gonna go in a couple of seconds.
In a couple seconds?
Yeah.
Should we have a commercial break?
We're gonna have a commercial break, guys. We'll be right. All right, everybody, welcome back after that commercial break. Before we lost any content, which we didn't. I called it just in time. But yeah, so we were space aliens.
Yeah, we were talking
Area 51.
Area 51.
Let's go.
That's an amazing thing that's happening now that the fact that we're storming it isn't, but the reason that we are deciding to storm
if that actually happens, though, if out of the 3 million people that say they're going to go, 50,000 people go, they're all dead. I mean, as long as they live stream it, though.
I suppose. I don't know. Like, there's some pretty heavy-duty defense there. I don't know if they can hold off a horde. I'm not going to speculate on that.
Next thing you know, just laser guns pop out everywhere and everybody just turns into dust like it's Independence Day. Yeah,
the idea though is that, it's the Western world. We're basically free here. Why have they been hiding this? This whole craze started when it was the U.S. government. I believe it was the CIA even. I don't know, but they declassified a document that was pretty old, and it basically says that Area 51 does exist. That's the only reason that it's blown up all over social media, and it's been since the 50s that it's been inactive, and they've just been denying it the whole time. So people are really looking to see what there is there.
Isn't it just a prototype Air Force base? Because back in the day, like the B-2 stealth bomber.
Yep.
And all that stuff. I think it's the B-2.
B-2, the U-2.
Yeah, the U-2. All that's okay. So all those things, the U-2 doesn't really look like a spaceship, but the B-2, I think it's like the Nighthawk or something like that. Yeah. That looks like a spaceship. Or what's the big flat wing one that actually looks like
the SR-71?
Blackbird. No, the Blackbird also looks like a spaceship, but there's a couple other ones that's just
it's just like the big triangle looking thing, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's just a straight wing. There's no ailerons or anything. Oh, it's just ailerons. Sorry.
I just know it's Northrop Grumman.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So that looks like a spaceship.
It does.
So there's certain things which make sense why people are like, oh, it's a spaceship. And if you're living that far in the desert, you're probably doing peyote or something like that. So
yeah,
there's always the chance where it's just like someone did some psychedelics and saw a military jet fly over them. Oh, it's aliens.
That's true, and that's why
But there's definitely something out there. I just don't know if they're here, and why would they go to the U.S. government?
So
just them.
There's many conspiracy theories. I've been really interested on this since I'm an engineer, and I work on like the rockets we know of today. When there's potential for there to be antimatter propulsion that is speculated. But basically, the biggest thing that happened for this whole conspiracy theory isn't people's eyewitness accounts, but actually someone that worked there. The name's Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
He was a physicist.
It was at S4, wasn't it?
It was at S4.
Did you watch that Joe Rogan?
No.
Or did you watch that documentary?
I've watched a bunch of documentaries. Yeah, but the Joe Rogan interviews on my watch list. I've been putting that off for too long.
Yeah. But there's so much crazy stuff on that.
It's some insane. You've watched that episode?
I watched everything, dude. I watched the Joe Rogan episode and the documentary.
So you know the whole thing about what Lazar worked on.
Yeah. So for the people that don't know, you probably should watch it because it's either extremely funny or you might get caught into this and pulled into it as well. But there's some parts on that episode where it's just like things just actually ended up becoming true. Like they confirmed the base that he worked at was true, which was like a section of Area 51.
Yep.
And then there was another thing where it's like there was a bone scanner that you put your hand in and it would scan the bones in your hand because everybody has different lengths between the bones in their hand, and that would let you in, and then that ended up becoming true. And then there's just a whole bunch of different things. Like it's conspiracies. But it ended up, like, a lot of the stuff ended up becoming true, and he hasn't changed his story at all, which is another thing that people seem to gravitate towards. It's pretty interesting, but I can't say I believe in it. I can't. I'm not gonna put myself on that side.
Yeah, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But eventually, as time advances, and
just wait and see.
Things like storming Area 51, that's definitely gonna give us something. If not a bunch of fatalities.
I'll go there and do a podcast. I'll go across the street from Area 51 at that little diner. I'll set up. I'll just interview as many people as possible. I'll just do a live stream. Have like 8 hours of just people in riot gear and sand gear and
man, it's gonna be
Kyle's
nuts.
in their pickup trucks coming around with energy drinks.
Yeah,
but I don't even know if we can continue on this. I don't want to sound crazy.
Just thought experiments, we could say that. Nothing. It's not fact, but we're just treading the ground, seeing where it could be. Yeah, Bob Lazar though. Watch that interview. There's
that's
one
nuts.
thing that really caught my attention, and it's like something that he said that was dismissed for a long time until it was proven, and it's a scientific thing. He said that these UFOs work on this propulsion called antimatter propulsion. It uses a certain substance. It's on the periodic table. It's element 115, and he said it uses that, and it was dismissed at the time when he came out with that claim. It wasn't discovered.
Yeah,
and they said he's making this whole thing up. And then 2003.
Was the Germans
laboratory? It was in Russia. They actually successfully created it. It's now on the table. It's called Moscovium. So every year something's getting
such a Russian name for
they named it after the funding, I guess.
Yeah, but that's crazy. So everybody go watch that. Do you have anything you need to plug? Instagram, anything like that?
Follow me on Instagram, Nick_Yermakov13.
I'll put it in the description. Yeah. Did you say hi, Mom?
Hi, Mom. Hi, U of T. Hi, friends. It's good to be here.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to, Carson's Conversations, episode 9, with a hint of conspiracy theories and aliens. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Check out the other stuff. Check out the new website. I have a whole bunch of new stuff on there. It's pretty cool. All right, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for listening. Have a good one.